Go, much better, much better. Hey, 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 hey. Good morning, good morning. Oh, I should have, whatever, whatever. Good morning. Hey, it's Beth, Destination Decluttered. Um, Arabelle CM, nice to see you. I love it at the beginning of each one of my TikTok lives. I see people's names popping up to Lisa, Sun Mary, and it reminds me of Romper Room when I was a little kid. I'm a Gen Xer, and when Miss Jean would have her like invisible mirror that she would see. And I just saw recently that the Lady V, nice to see you. Good morning, German maid, Brenda. And I just found out that the Miss Jean I grew up with in New England passed away at the age of like 90 just last year. And I was thinking of how I had kind of conjured her up from my past doing these TikTok lives, and the fact that I'm saying good morning to Sue and to Karen and Susan and Melissa and Pizza Thug 76 and Calming and whatever, Raymundo. So good morning, everybody. I am not Miss Jean, but I am Beth. But really, I'd much rather you remember Destination Decluttered. I am here to help you with your clutter. I don't know, maybe the clutter that you are inheriting from family. I don't know if you saw that TikTok. I have never done like I think it's a duet where I stitch together with somebody. Oh my gosh, it's hysterical how that's blowing up. So people who have never met me, hello, nice to meet you. I am a decluttering life coach, and I am here to help you get unstuck, to help you make decisions that feel right to you about the stuff you own so you can start living that decluttered life you want to live. All right. So it's nice to see everybody. Yeah, that duet. Oh my gosh, it's blowing up. It's blowing up, and it's kind of fun because it just makes us all know we're not alone. Like when I posted that, I was reflecting on the fact that like my grandmother passed away and nobody's dealing with her house. My mother is alive, but she won't be around for forever, so we'll have to deal with her. So we're all kind of in the same boat. And the thing is we look at other people and how they deal with their stuff, and yet we also need to look at how we our stuff story, as I like to say. And just a couple of kind of not housekeeping things, but just to give away, the kind of the nuts and bolts. So if you have just tuned into my page and you think you like what you hear, I've got all sorts of videos. I post videos practically every day, except for when I'm traveling. And I really would love it if you would like my page. It's been kind of fun to see the growth of it, to know that there are so many people out there, and that I can help. That even just hanging out on one of these TikTok lives, I want to give you a tip. Many people have said that they put these on in the background and then they declutter while they're listening to me. That might be a nice kind of, what do you call that thing, multitasking type thing. Also, if you are not in a position to declutter now, but you think that might be a good idea. If you have ADHD, this is a great kind of substitute for in-person body doubling, getting a buddy system type thing going on. Head over to my Destination Decluttered YouTube page, and I often post these TikTok lives up there so you can just listen to them. Yeah, Pam Stone is saying, I dread seeing my future inherited clutter at my in-laws' house. Here's the thing, Pam, and the thing I want to mention to everybody. I've done this myself, and yeah, I agree. I look and I get a bit of what I call the overwhelm when I look at my mother's house. But what I want to share with you is if you start right now, just start to make a plan for yourself about their stuff, about how you're going to handle their stuff if it comes to you, and be prepared. That's the Boy Scouts marching song, be prepared. Be prepared with a plan so that you're not trying to make those decisions about their stuff when the chaos and drama and emotion of them passing is going on. If nothing's going on, if everything's kind of slow and steady right now and there's no drama, start to formulate a plan. Have a conversation maybe with your spouse to say, hey, or your siblings, your sisters, your brothers, whatever, your family. What are we going to do with all of my stuff? What do you want to do? Do you want anything? Do I want anything? What do they want to be done? Okay. So, actually, Oceana, if you go to my TikTok page, I stitched or duetted or something with a guy who is just kind of gently poking fun at a family, telling them about stuff they're inheriting. So it's right there. Yep. Even doing your silverware drawer will make your day. It is true. It is true. I said to a client yesterday on a coaching call, and because I coach from the heart, So I coach from what's worked for me, what's worked for other people. I endeavor to meet people where they are and do my very best to offer tangible, practical ways of looking at your stuff differently so you can do something about it. And here's something I want to offer, okay? I want to offer from my own heart that there are many things in our lives we can't control. We have no control over so much stuff. The weather, things that are happening millions of miles away from us. But what other people do or do not do in their own lives that affect your life. But one of the things we do have control over is our clutter and how we think about it and what we do about it. And it may not feel like that. Like, I know somebody's going to come on here. It's almost like playing Destination Decluttered TikTok Live Bingo, and somebody's going to come over, and I'm not joking. I'm not making fun of them at all if you're saying, I'm overwhelmed. Because I just did a video, I have one more to post, about how to overcome overwhelm. And the opposite of overwhelm is maybe in control. Overwhelm is a feeling that you feel powerless about doing stuff. Taking control of your overwhelm and doing something about your clutter is something you can control. In a world or in a life where you may feel like you can't do anything, you can do something about your clutter. Okay? See, Sherry Lawrence, I kind of, I'm good at this thing. So Sherry is saying, how do I declutter piles of mail? It's so overwhelming to look at, I don't know where to start. It's so overwhelming, I don't know where to start. Here's what I want to offer you and for everybody. Is overwhelm is just, you're looking at it too big. You're looking at all your mail and saying, I can't even. So therefore you don't even. You're just like, like even when I do this, my body language knows, I'm like kind of like, oh gosh, I can't even deal. Like I can't, I'm pulling away from it. I'm looking at it like it's a huge pile. The opposite is true in order to get moving. So take the overwhelm from above you, get control over it, take some deep breaths, pull it down and say, I know how to deal with overwhelm. And that's chunking it down. Chunk it down. Now, what does that mean? What it means is, okay, so for example, you're overwhelmed with your mail. Your mail is just a pile of papers, probably still in envelopes, but yet that's kind of too broad a category. You've got the category of mail. You can categorize your mail in different ways. You can categorize your mails by the following. Maybe yours will be slightly different, but here's what comes into my mailbox. Statements of bills that I need to pay that I still get a paper statement for. Then that turns into statements that I've opened and I've paid that I need to file. I also get important looking papers from like insurance and stuff that I'm not sure what to do with, but to cover my butt, I probably should file those. I also get, interesting, very infrequently do I get interesting fun stuff that I want to look at. And then I get junk mail, right? So there's like 5 categories, right? 5 categories. And what I want to offer is when you categorize things, what you're doing is you are, what's that thing I love to do? You're making it better. You're making it easier to make better decisions and not get decision fatigue. And you can create yourself a routine so that your brain can work more efficiently. That's it, more efficiently. So you don't even have to stress about the mail because you create a system. So for example, with your mail, another way of chunking it down, I posted a video about this. Set your timer for 20 minutes today and go through your mail. Take it all out of the envelopes. Recycle the envelopes. Take all the papers that do not belong with the stuff, recycle those. Then categorize them in these categories, and then you can make a decision that will apply to every single piece of paper in that category. So instead of making 50 different decisions about 50 pieces of email, you've got 5 categories with 10 in them. You can make 5 decisions, okay? That allows you to not fall prey to decision fatigue early, right? Because decision fatigue is a real thing. We start out with like a full tank of gas, right? Like pretend this is on full, okay? This is like a little full. I'm always talking about cars because it just makes it so much easier. Your gas tank is on full every day, decision fatigue. But every time you make a decision, no matter how big or so small, your gas tank will begin to empty. And when you make 50 decisions, just think about it. That's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50, right? 50 decisions versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Saving your decision-making energy for other things that are more important. The other thing too is when you make that habit, habits are like one decision. It's like, I just need to deal with the mail, but it's in the part of your brain that has grouped those things together, so it isn't even all those individual decisions. You know what to do. You don't need to decide, what am I going to do with this? You know what to do with it, so you just do it. That will also keep your decision making free, so you have your decision making space free for the more important decisions in your life, and not just the decisions about clutter. Because I bet, has anybody here ever tried to make decisions and you're just like, I'm done. I don't even know. I'm just spinning my wheels here. That's because your decision-making tank is empty, that you've experienced decision fatigue. Rest up. Remind yourself of that level in your body. It's like hunger. It's like sleep. You need to make sure that your levels are good. You know, it's like going out for a road trip and making sure you got gas and windshield fluid and stuff in your radiator and stuff like that. So try that. Decision fatigue is a real thing, you guys. And I think a lot of people, decision making, here's the thing too, is decluttering is decision making. That is all it is. A whole bunch of decisions. It's, what is this thing? Answering, what is this thing? Then what do I do with it? And then based on what the answer is, then what do I do with it? Then what do I do with it? Do I save it? If I save it, where do I put it? If I don't save it, where do I want it to go? It's decision making. So when you get better at decision making, and I say better by paying attention to the decisions that you make that keep you, okay, notice behind me, this is how I talk all the time. Even when I don't have this behind me, I'm still pointing at these metaphorical pins on the wall. Think of it like a road trip. Deciding where you want to go. Your destination is destination decluttered. So what decisions can you make today that are going to get you towards decluttered? Okay? Hope that helps. Hope that helps. I have been thinking and worrying about leaving on my overabundance of belongings. Okay. Worrying is a sucky, like an energy suck. I think thinking is good. Thinking plus action equals awesomeness. Thinking and worrying equals exhaustion and overwhelm. So if you have an overabundance of belongings, what do you want to see happen to them? And then make that decision and start working on it now. What else? Yeah, that's really cool, Oceana, Hannah, Dana, Rosanna, Dana. I don't want to pass my burden on to my children. No, please don't do that. Yes, I love that you don't want to do it. So start now. Start now. What are the things that you don't want, that they don't want? Have a conversation with them. I will say this. Have a conversation with them and ask them if there's anything of yours that they want. Because one thing that's kind of sucky that happens to a lot of Gen Xers, that happens to a lot of people, is parents are well-intentioned, so they start decluttering, but instead they don't know the things that are important to their children that they might have wanted to pass along, that the kid might have wanted. Like, for example, you may be thinking that the china in the china cupboard is something that is really cool and expensive and blah, blah, blah. You want to pass that along? No, maybe your kids don't want that. Maybe they want the Pyrex bowls in the kitchen, but you've already given those away because to you those don't mean anything. So have a conversation with your family. They will, I bet, be so excited for you to start passing along things so they don't have to deal with it when you're gone, that they will be willing to help. And at least they will be willing to help by telling you what they want and what they don't want. Okay? I love it. Stephanie says she's lived in overwhelm for years, but I kept trying and doing, little by little. Yay, you! Because that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Oh, that's the hokey pokey. Oh my God. Welcome to my brain. Welcome to my brain. What else do we have here? All right. So a couple of other things. Yeah. The psychological aspects, behavioral aspects are a game changer when it comes to your clutter. I could show up here and be like, hey, everybody, why don't you pick out your, go sort out your sewing drawer or whatever. I don't even have a sewing drawer. But unless you understand yourself a little bit more, which is great to understand where you're coming from, because your decisions about your clutter and stuff aren't made in a vacuum. They're not made separately from all the other decisions you make in your life. You have thoughts in your head about your clutter that makes you feel a certain way about your clutter, and that makes you do a certain thing about your clutter, and then you have a result that has to do with clutter. So if you have clutter and you don't do anything about it, you continue to create clutter. It's almost like staying where you are right now at this little map pin, and Doing the same thing over and over again is like a cycle. It's like spinning your wheels. You're not moving forward. In order to get somewhere different, it's like a road trip. You got to decide where do you want to go. You got to get all hot and heavy about deserving the life you want to live that is decluttered. You deserve to live a decluttered life. I may be the first person to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this a wicked lot of times because it's so true. Believing you deserve to live a life that looks and feels better than the one you have now, and then doing something different. Doing something different with your clutter today will get you on the road, it'll get you out of that rut and moving forward towards that destination decluttered, you know? And I love it. I just saw it as it flipped by because I've got a lot of things here, is that somebody said I'm going to try today. So rock on. Rock on with your bad self, as Mork from Mork would say. Okay, I want to be better, but getting started seems too big. Amber Kathleen, okay, I'm speaking to you because here's the thing. If all I ever do is share this concept of overwhelm and how to stop being overwhelmed because it's too big, I love that you even used the words too big. Because here, hold on, I'm still here, I'm just bending over. Overwhelm, maybe overwhelm feels like, everybody, look at me, I've got the world over, you're looking at it too big. Oh my gosh, how am I ever going to do that? It's so freaking huge. Too big. No, pull that overwhelm down. Then you realize, wait a minute, I'm just looking at it too big. I'm going to replace that. I'm going to zoom in, and I got a little ball here, but you're going to zoom down. You're going to say, I have control over overwhelm. When you think of overwhelm and too big, you think of the opposite. What's too big? Which is small. What is a small way that you can deal with your clutter today? One small aspect of your clutter that you could change today, that you're going to do differently today than you did something with it yesterday. Breaking that habit. Creating a new neural pathway in your brain from this is what comes in, this is what I do with it to create a different result, and then going back and paving it and paving it and paving it and paving it. So the new pathway in your brain gets to be a nice little habit, and the one that was the unhelpful habit kind of gets weeds growing up on that thing. Okay, so I wonder of this. Yes, do you have any tips to just get started? Yes, I do. I offer the following. Clutter to me comes in 3 categories: surface clutter, stored clutter, sentimental clutter. Start with your surface clutter. Start with the stuff that's on your surfaces. I'm looking around at my desk and I've got some notebooks and some papers and some pens and envelopes and things like that. Do the things with your surface clutter. Surface clutter is typically stuff that's there very temporarily, or maybe not so. Maybe it's kind of grown roots and it kind of lives there, but you know it doesn't live there. Is putting the stuff away that is on a surface that doesn't belong on that surface. It belongs somewhere else. So, Kim, I would say, find some time today. Set your timer for 20 minutes. Pick one room in your home and deal with the surface clutter. When the timer goes off, congratulate yourself. Give yourself a Liz Lemon high five. And know that you have just driven 20 minutes closer to being decluttered. And then repeat that process and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. It's kind of like when you go on a road trip. Think about it. You get in your car and you drive forward, and then you rest. And then the next day you get in your car and you drive forward, and then you rest. And then the next day you get in your car and you drive forward. And you keep on doing it, and you enjoy the process. People, don't make this a commute, okay? Do not make this a dirgy, crappy, meh commute. You're on your way to like the dream life you want. Have fun on the way there, because having fun on the way there, I know this gets a bit woo-woo, but having fun on the way there is like you're there already, but you're just not there yet. Okay? Like Lulu just said, I've started to address immediate clutter coming in, mail, etc. Yes, dealing with this stuff sooner rather than later. I heard this phrase from a client yesterday who said, oh yeah, I do that, and I say, I'll deal with it later. But then she never does, and she knows that. What I want to offer is deal with it now. As soon as it comes in, do something with it. Don't be like, mañana, It's do something with it now. Tighten up that circle between when it comes in and when you've dealt with it. And then that will just also relieve your brain from being like overwhelmed, or it will give you peace of mind to know it's just done. Estrella is asking, how do I know what to get rid of? Only you, my dear. Your brain will tell you. Your brain has the stories about what those things are. I don't know. If I walked into your home, I would have no preconceived notion about the story behind anything in your home. So if I was there helping you, I literally would have to be like, what is this? What do you want to do with it? So you ask yourself, what is this? What do I want to do with it? And then listen for the answer. Does that thing make your life easier and better? Does it improve your life? Does it bring you joy? Does it make it more simple and streamlined to use your, in your home? Do you have too many multiples of something that is good? What does that thing tell you a good story? Whatever it is, you are the one who makes the decision. I don't know, today's topic may be about decision making, but that's where the power is. And the cool thing is, you guys, when you make decisions that align with what you want in your life about your clutter, that will have a positive ripple effect, because you will start to make decisions in other areas of your life that are going to be pinging back to, no, I want my life to look and feel like this. Why would I do this if I want my life to look and feel like that? All right, what do we got here? What else? I do throw away stuff that clearly garbage on my way in, goes in the recycling, helps. Every little bit helps. That's my mantra. Never believe anybody who says every little bit does not help. They're just trying to sell you something that they say is going to make it easier. What's going to make it better for you is getting in the mindset of a little bit consistently over time is going to be better than trying to do a marathon. It's like a road trip. I know from where I am in Pennsylvania that it takes about 40 hours. I mapped it out on Google Maps to drive to Palm Springs, California. I know that if I drove 4 days, 10 hours a day, I would not enjoy those days, and I would get there and I'd be exhausted and I would have to recuperate. So what I say is chunk it down. Yeah, maybe it takes a little bit longer, but you're in it for the long game. You want to feel good when you're doing it, Okay. And Enchanting Lotus Boutique is, I have too many pens, but I need pens. Here's the thing. Pick out your favorites. You have favorites. And get curious as to why you have so many pens when you only can write with one at a time. See, you made a decision to buy a lot of pens. You are making a decision to keep a lot of pens. One of the decision-making things when we get into stored clutter, multiples of things, is saying to yourself, here's a nice mantra, I deserve only the best. I know myself, I have pens that I enjoy writing with more than other pens. Some pens, it's like you're pushing them and they're painful. Other ones smudge on me because I'm left-handed. So decide if you do need all those things. Okay? Urban Observer, I'm glad I am awesome in your opinion. You are making me feel so good about this. Yes, you guys, my friends, this is what makes such a difference to me, and I hope it makes a difference to you, is I have never responded well to that task mastery kind of, you got to do this, blah, blah, blah. That's not how I roll, because I know that shuts me down. And I don't do anything. If anything, I feel like I don't want to be a pain in the ass and I want to dig my heels in and be like, oh yeah? You're not the boss of me. You can't tell me what to do. But what I want to offer is do it for you. Do it for the right reasons. Get excited before you even start. This is why I call my coaching Destination Decluttered. Because I want you to think of this as terms as a road trip. You're going to have to do work in order to get decluttered. But why not make it fun? Why not be able to enjoy the process, see the results, knowing that what you're doing is you're leading towards, at the kind of the end of it, which is no really an end, but that North Star of, this is what I want my home to look and feel like. And it's so powerful when you say, this is what I want and I am working towards it. Nobody's giving it to me. I am doing it myself, because when you get there, you will have changed your habits to stop from being cluttered, and you're going to start to have new habits, because it's different habit thoughts that are going to stop you from recluttering again. It is something you can do. You have control over it. And that's a wonderful feeling when many things in your life you may not have control over, and just know that you are also worth it. You are worth taking the time to say to yourself, what do I want my home to look and feel like? And by extension, what does that mean? What do I want my life to look and feel like? And those are worthy questions. I'm going to be on TikTok Live. I can't believe how quickly this is passing this morning. But I want to say I'll be here for another 36 minutes or so. Why don't you you could even just after I get off, or even right now, you could just turn off your phone. I know it's scary because it's so much easier to be distracted and not worry about those things, but time is passing. We are all a day older than we were yesterday. So make it worth it to yourself to show up and say, what do I want my life to look and feel like? And believe that it is possible. And then do something today that's going to be different from what you did yesterday, that's going to get you in that way. And that's what you do, and you repeat and repeat and repeat. And then you slowly, but you permanently change your life to be awesome. Okay? Let's see, what do we have? Timers are good. I tell my son it's easier to keep it up than clean it up. It's true. And then we need to follow by example. Oh, I just saw something that might be. I started to declutter my office, and my boyfriend told me, why did I start? I am not going to finish. Okay, so here's the thing. Is that a helpful thought that he handed you? So here's how I coach. Okay, this is my life coaching training coming into play, is with decluttering, with everything in our lives, but we're going to start with decluttering. You have a thought in your head. That thought in your head makes you feel a certain thing, and when you feel a certain thing, you do a certain thing. So if you had said to yourself, why did I start? I'm never going to finish. When you say I'm never going to finish, like, I don't know, I even say that, and I'm just repeating something you said. My heart feels like thump, like, oh, I'm never going to finish. Yeah, he's right. I'm never going to finish. Why bother starting? So you don't start at all, or you give up, you stop, right? That's what I call, in my life coaching, I call that a backseat driver thought. Is that is a discouraging thought. That is a thought that's going to keep you stopping and staying and not changing. Most of the time, those thoughts come from inside our head, but sometimes we have external, real-life people who are also backseat drivers. So I want to offer with love to you, get curious why he said that. If he loved you, wouldn't he want to encourage you? Now, I'm not going to get into it. I'm not a coach, like a relationship coach. But what I want to offer is there are other more helpful thoughts that you can create. So you can counteract his thought by creating the opposite. Most of my coaching in the mindset way to get you thinking about your clutter and stuff differently is talking about what's the opposite of that unhelpful thought. So instead of that, you can counteract that. You can kind of nullify it by saying, I am going to finish. I can finish. I've finished things before, and then you can come up with examples of when you have, because I'm sure you have examples, or he has examples of when you haven't finished. But you're like, you know what, this time I'm going to try to finish. Just for today, I'm going to finish. You know what you can do? You can do it for 20 minutes. When 20-minute timer goes off, you have finished, so you have evidence. So think of what the opposite is of that unhelpful thought you have. That's what I call a co-pilot thought. Your co-pilot is kind of like me. I show up as like the wacky sidekick who knows what the F they're doing on your road trip. I've been on this trip before. I have the map. I know how to motivate. It's you behind the driver's. You're the one in the driver's seat. I can't drive, but boy, can I show up and help amplify your internal co-pilot who just wants you to be living that life you want. Okay? So good luck. And you can. See? You can finish. And it's kind of, you know what? It's going to take time, but good things take time. It took you time to get cluttered. It will take you time to get decluttered, but no big deal, because this time you're driving towards a destination you're excited about. I tribe of family knows me, so they also don't stick to anything, and I feel defeated time after time. Okay, how about this time, make it different? How about this? This is going to sound like an infomercial, but it's organically coming up. Part of sticking to something is just getting in the habit of showing up every day and doing the thing, right? Walking 10,000 steps, drinking water, eating a vegetable. Those are like on my things, because I swear if I don't write those things down, I will forget them. Sign up for my email mailing list. Everybody, DestinationDecluttered.com. There's a form there. All I need is your email list. And the reason I say this email address, when you do that, you get a habit tracker, a printable for the rest of your life habit tracker that you can say to yourself, I'm going to show up for 20 minutes a day, and you fill that out every day. And then you can prove to yourself and your family that you are showing up every day and doing this. It can be interesting to do this because you don't realize how ingrained your current cluttering habits are, right? Sadly, too, family and people we know can also be our biggest, backseat drivers, because they are trying to, in their own twisted way, save you from pain and disappointment. But God, do they have an awful way of showing it sometimes. So don't even tell them. Maybe don't even tell anybody. Maybe just get quiet, and every day you do a little bit of decluttering for yourself. for your own stuff. And then you fill out your habit tracker, and your family knows who you are now, but if you want to change, you can change. I hate going through my old stuff because it makes me feel bad while I'm doing it. Okay, D, so you have hit the third category of clutter. We talked about surface clutter. We talked a little bit about stored clutter, but now we're in the map, like the mountainous region, the winding trails, mountainous region of sentimental clutter. So sentimental clutter is the stuff, your old stuff, makes you feel feelings. Now, I would get curious. Why does it make you feel bad? Now, you don't have to tell me. Just ask yourself, why does this make me feel bad? We as humans, we are supposed to feel feelings, and allow yourself to feel those feelings. And then let them pass through you, and then you can make a more clear-headed decision about the stuff that you keep. And what I want to offer is, don't keep anything that tells you a bad story. Oh my gosh, we have enough evidence of crap going on in the world. Like somebody today was like, what do I do with my pictures from my failed marriage? I'm like, I don't know, burn them? Throw them away? Like, no, that's what I did with quite a lot of mine. Why do I want evidence, physical evidence that I will remind me all the time? There you go, there's failed marriage, there's about, whatever, that's when. Don't keep things that make you feel like crap. Just keep the stuff that makes you feel good. Okay? So allow yourself to feel the feelings. Also know with everybody, with sentimental clutter, we always think of decluttering many times because our brain has a negativity bias. It immediately goes to what's the worst case scenario as far as decluttering goes. And it's like, oh my God, I'm going to have to go through that stuff. That's going to be painful. Oh my gosh, there are so many miles you can drive before you ever hit the mountainous roads of sentimental clutter. Your house can look freaking stellar. And for decades. And you may never even want to go through your sentimental stuff. And you can improve the way your home looks and feels every single day and wait till later to do your sentimental clutter. It's only you deciding to do it. You can do surface clutter and stored clutter and get everything in line, and you will feel so much better. And then when you feel better, then you might want to set a timer for 20 minutes, open up a box, see what the stories are, and see what you want to do with this stuff. Okay? All right. I'm so worried about this when my stuff gets here from the move. My girlfriend has never seen all my stuff. See? We all have our stuff stories, and we are afraid we're being judged about our stuff. You know what? Judge yourself about your stuff, It's a great opportunity. I was always amazed. So I've been in my same house now for 18 years, something. It's crazy. But I remember when we first moved in, we packed up a lot of stuff. And boy, did we not need as much as we thought we did. So what I want to offer Taylor is, and anybody who's moving is a great time to, as you're packing up stuff, to say, looking at your destination, your new place, to say, do I envision this in my new place or not? And if you don't, as you're moving, as you're packing, you can do some decluttering. But I want to offer too, part of the decluttering process is going to be, once you're in your new home, you will most likely need to do a reclutter because you can only make a guesstimate of what is going to work in your new home from where you are now. Like, you don't know what you need in the future until you get there. However, what I want to offer is, I bet you're going to need a heck of a lot less than you thought you did. So allow yourself to know that you probably are bringing too much and that you can release more of the clutter once you get to your new place. Because when you get into a new space, it's kind of like new beginning. And it's like, do I really want to bring all this crap into my new life? Yep. ADHD gets you distracted as you start to declutter. That's when the 20-minute timer is going to be your savior. Also, as I said, putting on one of my TikTok lives or one of the recordings of them on the Destination Decluttered YouTube channel as a buddy system body double for my ADHD folks, that's going to help you, okay? That's why I put them up there. It actually wasn't even an idea that I had. It was somebody who came up. I get great ideas from the people who follow me, so thank you. Yep. I remodeled my downstairs. I touched every single item I had, made a decision, and was able to release 80%. See? Somebody probably asked, and I arrived, so why is it so damn hard to get rid of my stuff? Because you have stories attached to it, and the stories have meaning to you, and that you just have to pay. You just have to. It's so funny, those toss-off lines. But in order to release the things, you need to hear the stories and decide if that's a valid story that you want in your life or not. Okay? My mom died, and so we sold her house quickly. All of her stuff is in my tiny house. I can't get started. Regal Raggle, I am so sorry your mom died and all that happened. What I want to offer, yes, and we are all neurodivergent. It is so true. We don't diverge. We are the norm now that we're discovering it. What I want to offer to you, Regal Raggle, and to everybody who has parents who are alive, listen to me. We may not be able to change them. We cannot change other people. It's hard enough to change ourselves. But what we can do is we can make a plan for what we are going to do with their stuff after they are gone, so this type of thing does not happen. So having a plan to not get the stuff to come to your house, because God knows my mother's stuff is not coming to my house, and I bet my sisters say the same thing. So having a plan in place. So get your plan in place, right? With her stuff, though, Regal Raggle, all her stuff is in my tiny house. I can't get started. And here's the situation. I know this. So my heart goes out to you. And I say this, my heart goes out to you because it sucks, because all her stuff is probably sentimental. But there's going to be certain things that are less sentimental than others. You know, it could be like the colander from the kitchen might be sentimental, but like this pad of paper isn't, or these clothes are not. There's going to be like kind of levels of sentimentality. So get yourself into that mindset of what's kind of the surface clutter. What's the stuff that's not so emotional of my mother's that I can go through, you know, and just set your timer. Open one box for 20 minutes, go through it, and then be done with it. Because the other thing too, decision making, remember I talked earlier, and I know some of you have just tuned in. My name is Beth, Destination Decluttered. Please like my TikTok page, share it with people who you know are struggling with clutter and stuff. What I want to offer is your decision making with sentimental clutter is going to empty your tank like nobody's business. It's not going to just be a little bit. It's going to be like chunk, 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 as opposed to chick, 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 chick. So therefore, only show up for a small amount of time to do it. Do not plan on doing a marathon decluttering of sentimental things. You will be exhausted at the end. Better to take your time and be able to recuperate from all the emotion you're going to feel. And what I want to also offer is not all the emotion's going to be bad. You're going to laugh, you're going to smile, you're going to remember some good times. It's going to be bittersweet, but it's not all bad emotion, okay? Mudflap the Bloodhound is being awesome because they say, I don't want to burden my family with junk. That keeps you motivated. Yep, the stories, we all get stories about stuff, you know, and what I want to offer to you, this is what I do, I offer. Same thing, it's a Swedish death clean. It's getting your shit together and dealing with it before you die so somebody else doesn't have to, you know? And here's the thing, I love it, German Made 95. I've been meaning to talk to my daughter about what she may want and a lawyer about a will. Definitely get a will. But the other thing too is, if you have stuff in your home now that you might want to pass down, consider handing it down now versus later. You know, like if you're not using it and they want it, maybe it would be fun to see you enjoying it, you know? Or if she doesn't want it, then you can make more appropriate plans for it, you know? What I want to offer is having trouble, this is a good one, downtown, uptown style. Having trouble getting rid of clothes that were expensive but are 10 pounds away from fitting me. Now, if you're like me, I bet the 10 pounds is I need to lose the 10 pounds versus gain the 10 pounds. It could be different. This is the middle layer of clutter. This is stored clutter. This is items that are in storage. So they're probably in drawers or hanging up in a closet. Here's what I want to offer to everybody who is struggling with stored clothing situation. Of you have clothing that doesn't fit you currently, but you think you might want it to. What's happening is that the clothing that you currently can't fit into is getting in the way, is making your life more difficult right now because it's taking up valuable space that the clothing you're currently wearing could then be housed in. And it is also just reminding you every day of, you know, I don't fit into these clothes, I don't fit into it. Oh, I could wear it, but I don't fit into it. Like, that's kind of a crappy story to hear. What I want to offer is make some space in your drawers and doors for the stuff that currently fits you by removing the items that don't fit currently, just temporarily. Make them all one size, whatever the sizes are. You can categorize them by certain sizes. Put them all in a tote. Put them in a tote, fold them away neatly, put the date on it, and allow yourself the opportunity to become that person that you say you want to be. If you're holding on to the clothes that don't fit you now, part of you is hoping to be that person again. Part of you is hoping to be that person who is 10 pounds plus or minus whatever you are right now. So allow yourself that opportunity and give yourself some some comfort saying when and if I do change my weight, those clothes are right there. But in the meantime, you will be only then surrounded by the clothes that you wear right now and you feel good and you look good in. The other thing too is even before you do that, while you go through that, ask yourself this question: even if I lost weight, would I be wearing this thing? Does this make me feel good? Is it comfortable? Is it a style I wear? And you might be able to already kind of create like a donation bag of items that even if you were that weight, you might not wear. So streamlining, making those decisions, okay? And the other thing too, I want to mention downtown uptown style, because I think this is going to be very helpful for everybody, is that notion of, you mentioned, getting rid of something that was expensive. So this is another thing that comes up a lot when I'm doing decluttering coaching. And yes, I probably should have mentioned by this point, but I always forget because I get so excited about helping people. I do one-on-one coaching. I do one-on-one coaching on Zoom with clients for 10-week packages. I am looking at my map of the US, and I've got clients from coast to coast. And what I want to offer is, if you're interested in that, you can go to destinationdecluttered.com and not only sign up for my mailing list, but you could also sign up for a consultation if you would like to have a one-on-one coach on Zoom once a week for 10 weeks. All I do is we show up and we help solve your problems with clutter. But that said, when you are talking about stuff that was expensive that you have a hard time parting with, hanging on to it is not going to save you the money that you already spent. The money is spent. It is done with. Hanging on to it is not going to suddenly make you recoup that money. In economics, they call this, ignoring the sunk cost. You sunk money into it. You paid for something and you thought it was going to work and it didn't. This is the whole process of clutter, okay? Really wicked simple, high level. You see a thing that you think is going to make your life better. Oh, I saw this outfit. I think I'm going to look stylish, feel good, be sassy, whatever the descriptor is. That's going to make my life better. So you buy it. Then you try it on in your life and you're saying, okay, this does work. Yay, I feel stylish. I feel great. Or it doesn't work and you're like, oh crap, I don't fit into it anymore. Hanging on to the stuff that doesn't work for you. Give yourself the opportunity to use it. I'm not saying get rid of it now. Give yourself 6 months. Put the date on that piece of paper and give yourself the opportunity to be that person. But if 6 months goes past, if a year goes past and you haven't done it, be okay with who you are now. And say, I used to be that person. I thought I was going to be that person, but I'm not that person. And that's okay, because the person I am rocks. In this body, what it looks like, what it's shaped like, I look good. I am a good person right now, who I am. And I don't want to lose the weight because I haven't in the past year. By moving your stuff away and putting it in storage, that makes it easier for you to then kind of pass it along to a charity or a thrift store or something like that. But the other thing too is hanging on to something that you spend a lot of money for. Just because you spent a lot of money for it, you'll never get your money back. So you could try to sell it. You can make a couple of bucks that way, or just know that it's really just getting in the way. It's weighing you down. It's like you're trying to drive forward, but you've just put all that stuff in front of you, piled it in front of your car, so you can't move forward to being decluttered. Just want to help. Can you discuss how to stop impulse buying and how it leads to clutter? Yeah, messy one. Yes. Paying attention to your thoughts. That's where it is. That's why when I started doing decluttering coaching, I knew I needed to get some life coaching training. And I can simmer that stuff down into really simple. Pay attention to your thoughts. Every time. Anything. Pay attention to what you're thinking, the sentence in your head that you say that makes you feel a certain way, and when you feel a certain way, you do a certain thing. So, impulse buying. You have a thought, ooh, look at that. Oh, hey, that could make my life better. It's the colors I have. That's going to make it easier for me to make those salads. Hey, that's a really cool skirt. I bet I'll look good at that when I go on my vacation. There's a thought, right? And your feeling is like the feeling of possibility, of that couldn't make my life better. Nothing wrong with possibility, but then just before you act on that impulse, just say, okay, you're right. That is the same color as the things in my kitchen, but do I need another spatula? The answer could be yes, I need another spatula. There, it's not an impulse purchase. You've thought about it. Impulse. Notice it's impulse, pausing that impulse and just reflecting for a smidge before you do it. You know, do you need that skirt? It's really expensive. If you want to get it, that's fine, but do you want to spend that money on something else? You know, don't you already have enough of that stuff? And I'm not saying the answer always has to be no. No. What I want to say is get in the habit of not reacting to your impulses by doing the purchasing. Ask yourself why you're buying it. Maybe you're feeling a little bit blue. Maybe this will cheer you up. Maybe you're feeling a hole in your soul, in your heart. You're kind of like, oh, you know, I want to treat myself to something because life is not going the way I want it to. Notice the thought behind why you want to do something. Because if you're buying something to make yourself feel better, that that feeling lasts for a smidge, but then you have the lack of money and that item in your home for a lot longer. So it may not solve the problem. Ironically, a lot of people, when I first start decluttering coaching with them, they immediately say, what do I need to go out and buy? And I'm like, you don't need to go out and buy anything at all. If anything, we're trying to break that cycle. Okay? Yeah, decluttering has definitely changed how I shop, more focused. Now I'm saying, I still, like when I go to Target, I will look at the stuff and I will envision myself as being that person who looks good in that bathing suit or wears those stylish shoes or, you know, uses that Pilates mat or whatever. But then I say, am I really going to use it? I reflect back and I just say, okay, is that going to make my life better or not? Like, is that going to just add to my clutter that I'm trying to do, you know, that I'm trying to declutter? So notice how you said impulse shopping. I say, just stop that impulse, put up a stop sign, and then just say, okay, is that going to get me the where I want to go or not? Is that going to add to my clutter? Or if I don't buy that, like, here's what I say to myself, I could buy that. Like, I allow myself, because for years I had that kind of denial mentality of, I can't do it, can't. And that felt sucky. I was so freaking tired of saying no to myself. Now I say to myself, I could buy that if I wanted. And then I say, or not. And if the I could buy it or not is kind of the same kind of emotional level, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Meh. But if I'm like, oh man, like that thing, it happens infrequently, but I honor that because I'm a human on the planet, right? I don't say no to everything, but when I say yes, it's meaningful. And it doesn't have to be everything hot and heavy. Like I said this yesterday on a thing I was doing. Like, see this? There, you get this little sign over here that says happiness. I saw that when I was down in St. Pete, Florida. I saw a bunch of them hanging on like telephone poles, and I was like, that's really cool. And then I learned about it and the history behind it. And then I randomly parked my car in front of a store that had the sign in the front. So I went in to ask them about it. And they told me the story, and they said they're the only place that sells them. And I thought, oh my gosh, I love that. I want to be reminded of happiness and good stuff. So I bought it, you know, but I don't buy everything all the time. It's a thoughtful purchase as opposed to an impulse purchase. Okay, I hope that helps. All right, so what do we get here? We get 12 more minutes and then we get work going on. So what could you do today to get yourself decluttered? I want to suggest, before you even do anything, start with the real awesome, really good basics of what do you want your life to look and feel like? Now I say life, but that can be overwhelming. So I'm going to retract that slightly and just scope it on down now. That life can be like, too big. What do you want your home to look and feel like? Yeah. Then write that shit down. Write it down. What do you want? Because when you write it down, it's almost like a note to the universe to say, this is important to me. This is important enough to me to write it down. If you're not writing it down, get curious why you're not writing it down. Thoughts, feelings, actions, people. Head, heart, hands. Okay? And do that. Morgan Ray's asking, any advice for staying on top of very messy kids' rooms? It gets out of control fast. Oh, I love this. Because here's the deal. I am not an expert in children at all, but what I want to offer from my own experience is give them an opportunity to succeed. Teach them good habits about decluttering. What is the stuff that's causing the very messy kids' rooms? I bet it's just a bunch of habits that they are not used to picking up after themselves when they're done with their stuff. Toys that you play with, you put away. If you go to put them away, is there a space for them to be put away? Is there a home for the toys so that they have a place to put it? If it's laundry on the floor, is there a place for them to put their dirty laundry when it's dirty? Is there a hamper in their room? You know, those couple of things, think about it. And think about, too, what kind of modeling you're doing. What kind of modeling? Ooh, look at me, I'm a model. No, but what you're doing is you're also modeling. Like, how do you deal with your clutter? Are you dumping your clothes? Are you picking up after yourself? I want to say, like, teach by example. And just show them a way of doing this. Because I really believe that decluttering is a life skill. Decluttering is a life skill that's going to improve your life the longer you live it. So they may be little kids now with a messy room, but when you show them, and with, you know, without emotion, without drama, to just say, clean up your room, do this thing a little bit at a time. Every night you just put your dirty clothes in the hamper and you're done. That gives them more time to go out and play. But then also that shows them, that will train them in a really good way to take care of their own stuff. So when they move out of the house, they are not going to be that embarrassing, you know, they're not going to be that that partner or roommate that has the messy house, because they have good habits that have been ingrained in them of just, this is what you do. You tidy up after yourself as you do it. You know, not I'm going to wait till later. If you just do it closer to now, it makes things so much easier for everybody. Okay, trying to declutter my stuff, but also things I inherited from my mom who's passed, as Nanner 1995. What I want to offer, there are 3 levels of clutter. There are 3 categories of clutter, and dealing with them in this order. Surface clutter, sentimental, surface clutter, stored clutter, sentimental clutter. Sentimental clutter is the stuff that you inherited from your mom who passed. So deal with your stuff first, then deal with the stuff that you inherited. I say this too because it will help you get your decluttering muscle working out. You know, you are beginning to make decisions. Decluttering at the core of it. I love it when I can kind of just distill everything down to its bare essence. Think about it. Decluttering is just making decisions about your stuff that align with who you want to be. Who you are now, not who you used to be, who you are now, and who you want to be. So the more you can practice making those decisions with your own stuff, the easier it will be. The stronger that part of your brain will become, that pathway, that neural network of, I am making this decision based on how I want my home to look and feel like. It will be easier for you to go through your mom's stuff and say, what of her stuff, if any, do I want in my home? Because the other thing I would love to just empower you with is, if you didn't keep one stitch of things from your mother, you would never forget her. It's not like you're going to forget her if you don't own any of her stuff. Some of the things you have for her, maybe you could take a picture of it and write down the story and keep the story that way, like, you know, in a notebook or something. But and then you don't have to have the thing, you know. Exactly. See, I just Heather B. I didn't even see that, and then I wrote it. Which was, take a picture of these items and put them in a photo book. Yeah. And the other thing too is, like my grandmother passed away. I don't think I have anything physically of hers, but what I have is I have memories. I see pictures of her. Like, there are things in the world that remind me of my dad who passed, even though I don't own any or many of the things that he owned. I will smell a smell. I will smell pipe smoke. I will hear a song on the radio. I will look at a print when I'm in an antique store. I will hear somebody say something that reminds me of my father, right? And I don't need any of his stuff to be reminded that he was in my life and that I love him. So just think about that for a minute. With all this, the stuff that you have, just trust yourself to know that you will not forget that person, that you will not use your love from them. The thing is just a thing that you imbued with meaning. Here's this coffee cup. It meant nothing, but then it was the coffee cup that Mom used every time she came to visit, and now she doesn't visit anymore, so it's special. You made it special. You can unspecial it so you can remember when you're, that feeling back in your heart. This is just a reminder to your brain. It's like a souvenir that says, I remember. It helps you remember. Now, if you are afraid you're going to forget specific stories, write them down, or do a video. Do a video and talk about these things, and then run it through a text, a thing that can transfer it into words, any way you can do it, Yeah, I lost my husband and mother within 2 weeks of each other, and it is difficult to let go. Holy Moses, I can imagine it's hard to let go. My dear, my heart goes out to you. It really does, because that does suck. I remember when I was, let me think, I was whatever year, and I think back on it, I was only like 18, 19, and my great aunt lost her sister and her husband within like 2 weeks. My grandmother and my great-grandfather, I mean, my great-uncle, great-uncle. Really tough times. Allow yourself to heal. Allow yourself, what I like to say, give yourself some grace and some space to not have to deal with those types of things just now. Allow yourself to heal, okay? And when you feel strong enough that you can kind of open up a box without bursting into tears, then that's the time to start. Start small, extra small when you're doing sentimental clutter, because it's going to zap your strength. It's going to, like, you're going to see your decision-making energy dissipate greatly. But then you did a little bit, then you recover, then you show up a little bit, and you recover. And as you keep on showing up, here's the thing. The repetition shows you that showing up is okay, that you're going to survive it, that it wasn't so bad, that you can do this again. And that momentum of keeping on going back and a little bit at a time, you know? So yeah, just really know. It reminds me, it's so funny because I love playing with my coaching, because even though I've been talking about, I've coached people and been doing these TikTok lives for a few months now, I'm always finding new ways to describe this. And this reminds me of when I was on my Route 66 road trip, okay? So from Chicago to LA, there's a certain point, and I gotta find out, because I always want to call it Snake River Canyon, and it's not, but that's like Evel Knievel. But there was a part of the journey that it was like, okay, we gotta prepare you guys for this, because this is the long and winding road, and it's thin and all this kind of stuff. So it was like, all right, do you have enough gas in your tank? Are you awake? Can you make it? Are you feeling confident you can do it? Prepare yourself for the journey through the mountains of souvenirs, sentimental items. And don't let that deter you, but just prepare yourself for it and know that you can pull over to the side of the road at any point and rest and then go through it again. Okay? Yeah. So, all right, I get 3 more minutes. Oh my gosh, time has passed so quickly. What I want to offer is just a couple of things. First of all, there we go. Oh, thank you everybody who has signed up for my mailing list. If you're interested, I don't like to spam people. I think it's kind of crappy, but I also know that with the precariousness of social media platforms that, there's rumblings about, and I don't want to do this in a fear-based thing, but, TikTok's going to be banned and whatever. I have an email mailing list, and this is basically so I can remain in, you and I can remain in contact, even if, these big companies decide to go down. What I do to say thank you in exchange for you sharing your email address with me, I do 3 things. One is I don't spam you a lot. I don't even spam you at all because I send you good stuff. The 2 things I send you are, when you first sign up, immediately you will get a habit tracker that I use myself. This is mine. I get some catching up to do. That you can print out for the rest of your life and use it to track your good habits, to get yourself in the habit of showing up every day and doing things. The other thing that you will get is about once a month, and I maybe will send a max of 3 emails, which is pretty much just the reminder of, is I do a once a month Zoom, members only Zoom group call with just people on my email mailing list. And people have had wonderful experience with these. They have been raving about them. And I think it's great because you can share your expertise with things and ask questions. It's a 1-hour Zoom that only happens to the people on my email mailing list. So if you're interested in signing up for that and getting those 2 things, destinationdecluttered.com. The other thing is, thank you, is I have, if you know people who are cluttered and they are not on TikTok, I also show up on Facebook as Destination Decluttered, Instagram as Destination Decluttered, and YouTube as Destination Decluttered. Speaking of that, today's already Tuesday. Oh my God, time's flying. Tomorrow, speaking of that, tomorrow I will show up again at TikTok, 8 a.m. Eastern. I'm on the Eastern Seaboard. But then after that, I'm actually going to be online 2 solid hours, Nick, tomorrow. So if you have some time tomorrow when you want a body double and you want some background noise of encouragement while you're decluttering, tomorrow morning from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time, I'm going to show up at TikTok for a half an hour, then go to the Destination Decluttered Facebook, then Destination Decluttered Instagram, Destination Decluttered YouTube page, okay? So I like to show up more times on TikTok, but I also show up on my other things. That's mainly for people who aren't on TikTok that I still want to help. And lastly, but perhaps bestly, is I do one-on-one coaching. So if you have tuned into any of my videos or my lives and you think, oh, I would love to have her as my co-pilot for 10 weeks of starting here and helping me through these things that I'm struggling with, go to my website, destinationdecluttered.com. You can find out more about my coaching, but also there's a big orange button there that says schedule a consultation. The consultation is what will get us started. Really what that is it's a structured but informal chat on Zoom where I ask you a certain set of questions that I ask all of my potential clients just to make sure we're a good fit. We have that. And then if it seems like the coaching is going to work for you, we get that in the process. I just signed a new client and I want to say that 10 weeks out from now is about the beginning of August. So just think, at the beginning of August, how much you could change your life with a little accountability, a structured process, a new way of looking at things, some hand holding, somebody there as your champion, as you can do it as opposed to you're going to fail, right? An antidote to your internal backseat drivers and maybe some of your external backseat drivers as well. So I just want to offer that. That's my one-on-one coaching, Destination Decluttered. My name is Beth. I'm signing off for the day. The sun's out, sun is shining in the sky. There ain't a cloud in sight. I got a walk to do. Thank you everybody for showing up, and perhaps I will see you tomorrow on TikTok. If you haven't liked my TikTok page, please do it. It's kind of fun to see the numbers grow and to know that ideally what I'm doing is helping you, and I hope it does. You can do this. You deserve to live a decluttered life that you love. All right. You have a wonderful day too. And let me see if I can do this. All right. We got it. Here we go. And I'll see you tomorrow. All right.